It used to be piles of dusty records in charity shops and car boot sales. Now it's unloved CDs you'll find in the corners, while vinyl is back in the limelight. Its revival has been a long-term trend, but today record sales have overtaken digital downloads for the first time. Sales of albums on vinyl reached £2.4 million last week, while digital downloads stood at just 2.1 million. It's the first time this has happened since the arrival of digital downloads with iTunes in 2004. Radiohead, which has sold more than 30 million albums worldwide, is one band that has embraced vinyl with many special editions of its music, including the new album, A Moon-Shaped Pool. I've been talking to the band's bass guitarist Colin about why they are so taken by vinyl.
Well, I've noticed that they've started selling vinyl again in my local supermarket, which has definitely impressed my kids as well. So it's a much more pleasurable way of having your music come out rather than just a digital file or swiping left and right on something like Spotify or Apple Music.
Why is it more pleasurable?
It's because it gives you a chance as an artist to take the music a bit further in terms of creativity and express how you feel about the music in sort of physical, tangible form. You know, it's a bit like clothing. It's like something that's nice to dress the music up in. You've got the sleeve, the inner sleeve, you know, and with our last record, Moon-Shaped Pool, we did this beautiful limited edition with it, which was like a book with like a jacket and things like that. And you can play with so many parts of it. You can play with the colours, you can do cool cutout messages on the vinyl itself, so you can make, you know, the music even more singular and unique.
And with that album in particular, just tell us in detail how you felt that you were able to translate the creativity of the music into the album itself because it was on vinyl.
Well, a lot of that music we worked on in France in this studio, and Stanley Donwood, who works on the artwork with Tom, had his own studio next to our recording studio, where he was working on the images using vinyl, acrylic paints, and doing all these really cool abstract images that he later incorporated into the artwork for the album.
So it becomes a much broader work of art, I suppose.
Exactly, and as he was working, we rigged up these massive speakers into his studio so he could hear the music as we were making it, as he was working at the same time.
And then what about the quality of the music itself on vinyl?
Well, it's, you know, that's an endless question, and it's like people, you know, they say there's like a sort of slight harmonic distortion because of the needle hitting the grooves, because what you're listening to vibrations rather than ones and noughts of like digital music. But it just sounds nice and warm and friendly, and it's a fantastic format, and it's something that you know we all still love.
What do you think is the purest form?
The purest, well, that's a sort of endless middle-aged dad rock kind of question, you know, my brother has this brilliant theory, which is like sort of middle-aged. My brother's also in the band. As men get older, generally it is men, and their hearing drops off, they try and replicate the sort of lack of hearing high frequencies by getting more obsessive with things like sound. So it's something I think it's best just to drop as a subject.
but in the past, that's what vinyl was associated with, wasn't it? It was sort of dads trying to recapture the music of their youth. But that seems to have changed.
Absolutely. You know, as I said, my kids are very excited about it. They're very excited that they can go into the supermarket and see, like, I don't know, OK Computer and Kid A, 2 Radiohead albums. Although I've noticed they've moved the whole display in my supermarket further back next to like the markdown gondola where they do like the slimline lasagnas and things like that. But you can still get, and it's fantastic. You can still get it.
And do you think it means something for the idea of an album? Because it's very different, isn't it, listening to a whole album than just streaming individual songs on things like Spotify?
It is, because you've made a selection, you've made a choice for yourself. You know, like last night I was hooking up my Spotify with my Sonos so that I could now play music from Spotify directly without having to open Sonos, and it kept crashing, and there was like a live blog with the Sonos engineer to try and work it out to make it happen. And it's just like, you know, one of my friends, Kieran, who's an amazing DJ and artist who goes under the name Fortet, he used to tease me. He said, "Why don't you just put a record on, Colin?" And rather than going down the rabbit hole of technology, something has already been sorted out, piece of technology for you, and then that can be just for you.
And do you think it reflects a broader trend? Do you think people are now yearning to have physical objects than something that in a way is more ephemeral, out in the ether?
Yeah, I think people have become daunted by the choice, and I think that's why people like Sonos, Spotify, Apple Music are seeking all these things called curators and editors, because there's just too much music out there, and it's nice to own something as well. It's nice to have ownership and to make a link between music that you love and experiences in your life that are your life alone and nobody else's.
Well, I'm so pleased that I hung on to all my own vinyl records, more because I'm a hoarder rather than being a hipster. But did you keep yours?
Well, that's a good point. I've still got all mine, but all my CDs I've just stuck in cardboard boxes, and they're like in a Radiohead storage facility somewhere at the moment. So, but I have kept all my vinyl.
And what's your favourite?
Well, my favourite vinyl, me and my brother, when we used to do all the Radiohead touring, we'd trawl around all the record stores around America and Europe. And I think my favourite is probably Fleetwood Mac Peter Green, probably.